Alright, welcome back. Today we will be reading chapter 3 of Ervenfell the Alteration. So, we went through chapter 1 where we met the Wood Elf Queen that has those visions, and we also met the wizard from afar. So, that is that part. Then we had chapter 2 with the two siblings, and now we have chapter 3 that follows the story of the one who lost it all. So, let's begin. Right. Chapter 3 Hunting of White Death. A quest for vengeance, the one who lost all. The shadow did not hurry. It moved through Morganville like it belonged to the night. Long cloak whispered against stone, boots finding the narrow paths between lantern light and darkness. One of Ervenfell's many moons hung low above the rooftops, its pale glow catching briefly on the edge of a concealed face. A man, Aaron. Sorrow and anger both followed his step, and yet he walked with the calm of someone who had already decided how much the world was worth. As we see this from our perspective as he approaches a guard. He had come from the south, from Hartana. Hartana had been a quiet farming village. It learned what silence truly meant. The woman had been close to giving birth, his beloved. Her husband had gone to Altamora to buy an anniversary gift. 5 years married, 5 years of shared mornings and hands entwined beneath blankets. He returned to blood. Her heart had been torn from her chest. Symbols were carved into the walls with it. Seals traced in dark spirals across the floor. The unborn child lay at the center of the ritual, small and still, surrounded by ruin. The peasants who discovered the scene fled in terror. Witchcraft, they whispered. Dark magic. Curses. No one dared touch the bodies. Aaron of Jakar or Yakar, you can say as whatever. It should be Jakar Rahan, but okay. He buried them in the garden where his wife had loved to sit in the sun. Cold rain fell while he dug. He cried until even grief abandoned him. He burned the house. I'm just looking for the Jakar Rahan there. No, it's actually good when you say it like that. Aaron of Jakar, yeah. Then you don't use the full name. Okay. Flames climbed the walls and devoured every memory they held. As the roof collapsed, Aaron knelt in the mud and polished his katana, tears sliding freely down his face as steel met cloth. He swore revenge to the ashes. Once Aaron had been a Jahin, a mercenary order whose discipline bordered on cruelty. Leaving the Ajahin was considered betrayal. Most who tried were stripped of everything and cast out. But Aaron had been Marul's student. Marul had broken tradition for him. He let Aaron go, gave him his own katana as a farewell. Aaron had taken his love to Artana. He had believed peace was something that could be earned. Now peace was buried beneath the wet soil. They told him they told him it had been a white elf, an Albin elf. They told him they had seen red light spilling from the windows. They told him the figure had gone west. So Aaron followed. He ran until his legs shook and his lungs burned. He arrived at villages always too late, sometimes days, sometimes weeks. Each time he found echoes of the same pattern. Woman with child, ritual circles, blood. Always blood. The killing were deliberate, timed to Tvorsla's moon, purposefully in ways he could not yet understand. Half a year passed like this. Then the trail vanished. Defeated and hollow, Aaron returned to Hartana. He stood among the charred remains of his home and said nothing. He knelt by the grave and pressed his forehead into the damp earth. Later in Horseman Inn, the villagers told him something new. The Albin elf had passed through again, 2 days ago, heading towards Morganville. Hope flared like a blade drawn from shadow. Aaron did left without finishing his drink. A torchlight stopped him at Morganville's edge. State your business, stranger. Aaron slowed, hands visible, eyes steady. He saw the guard's finger tighten around the haft of his throwing axe. The guard hesitated. Morganville saw merchants and pilgrims often enough, but men from Jakarta Han rarely crossed half a continent alone. I'm looking for an Albin elf. The guard observed him, measuring him few times from toe to head. I passed through yesterday, headed north. Aaron inclined his head. Thank you. He turned to leave. Personal matter? The guard asked. Aaron paused only long enough to answer. Very. The guard watched him go. North, the Albin elf walked towards Forage. Forage stood at the center of the Kristalla forest, where humans, dwarves, and wood elves lived in uneasy harmony. Four great streets crossed through its heart, forming a crowded lattice of markets and inns. Yervan had arranged a meeting at the Kristana Inn weeks ago. He was late. He smiled faintly to himself. I wonder if that fat bastard Archer will rage over a day's lay. The thought amused him. Then the wind shifted. His smile died. He stopped walking. Why? The question rose unbidden, heavy and unwelcome. Why had he killed so many innocents? Maybe innocent people. No, innocence is good. Why had he agreed to help the Wrath Elf? His chest tightened. Arlaya. The name tore itself from within. My sister. Pain detonated behind his eyes. Yervan collapsed to one knee, staff striking the dirt as he caught himself. Purple light flared briefly in his pale gaze before fading away. He stared at the ground, breathing hard. When he stood, he could not remember why he had fallen, nor whose name he had spoken. Memory again, he muttered. That wretched Wrath Elf. He entered Forage beneath curious stares. Albin Elf were not common sight. Were not a common sight. Inside the Hartana Inn, music washed over him. Galanian dancers moved in fluid arcs beneath lantern light. A wood elf bard played softly while a dwarf kept rhythm on drums. Yervan took the darkest table and ordered a bottle of Zul's Eye wine. When the waitress returned, he paid 5 times the price and dismissed her with a single gesture. Do not bother me again. She obeyed. And here you can see Homeboy drinking. He watched the dancers until he smelled Arkur approaching. So, smelled. Keep that in mind. Dvork. Half human, half orc, and entirely devoted to gold. Yervan pointed to the chair across from him without looking. Sit there. Arkur grinned, displaying broken teeth, and complied. Did you bring it? Yervan asked. Pitor and Pitor from the Orc lands and the blackened sapphire. Rare, that one. Arkur licked his lips. You have my gold? Yervan slid a heavy pouch across the table. Lower your voice. Arkur chuckled. This town belongs to me, Master Yervan. Everyone has a price. You would sell your own mother. In a heartbeat. Yervan finally glanced at him. I have murdered woman without mercy, he said quietly, and yet you still disgust me. Archer did not care. He only cared about the weight of the gold. He placed the cloaked items on the table and withdrew to count his winnings with trembling hands. Yervan remained where he was, wine in hand, eyes on the dancers. For a moment, just a moment, he allowed himself to forget the blood. Outside Forage, Aaron of Jakar closed the distance. He followed the faint trail north, driven by grief that had hardened in something colder. He had not yet he did not know yet his path was about to collide with others. He only knew that the White Death was close, and this time he would not be too late. Okay, this is a bit shorter. I mean, chapter 2 was like an hour of reading, so this one is more just to introduce the character, you know. I think the next one is about um, the same amount of words in it, you know. Because with the brothers it was introduction and a whole story with them. All right, thanks for watching, and I will probably record immediately after this chapter 4, so you can check out that video moments after this one. So, laters.